I'm gonna go to share. Oh, I have to have a big screen in order to share. Okay.
So, hi everybody. This is April from Critical Women's Networking. And we have Siobhan here tonight that's going to teach us all about using stories on your Facebook and Instagram to improve your business and get the word out about, what you're all about. So that's really cool. And this is actually one of the many perks that comes with membership. So if you're interested in learning more about membership, definitely give me a message and I'll talk more with you about that. And actually, these Zoom meetings will only be limited to paid members in the future. So if you're catching this right now, you're lucky because this is probably the only one you're going to catch because we're going to go private and it's going to be an exclusive perk just for our paid members. So another good reason to look into membership and talk to me more about that. Now I'm going to let Siobhan take over and tell us all about herself and, all this awesome information that she has to share with us today.
Thanks, April. So like she said, I'm going to just kind of minimize, and it's not going to go to me. It's going to show me April the whole time so you guys can see her instead. So like April said, my name is Siobhan. I'm going to pull this up. So, oh my gosh, where did it go? I can actually present it. And there it goes. And this is using stories to boost your business. So I find that if you are staying current with social media, you are going to stay ahead of the game with your business as well. So a little bit about me. My name is Siobhan. I am a work-at-home mom. April, I'm putting you away. I'm sorry. There, that makes me feel better. Sorry. I am a work-at-home mom. My husband actually also works at home as well. He works from home, and I work at home. My business is based out of my house. I sell loose leaf tea with Sipology by Steep Tea. You can find me on Facebook and on Instagram under A Mug of Positivity. Hopping into my group gives you tips and tricks with tea, a bunch of tea recipes, mental health tips, things like that. I'm a lover of all things green and alive. You can't really see my plants, but my dining room is filled with plants. I'm trying to fill my house with plants as well too. I feel like being part of nature and connected to nature really does bring the best out in me. And so I kind of try to bring that into my house as well. And I'm a millennial. I'm determined to live a different work life. So before I started with direct sales, I was a teacher. I was working, that I want to say 9 to 5, but really I was working like 7 to 5. And my daughter was born and I felt I was missing out on so much with her. I tried other direct sales companies in the past. They didn't quite work out for me. The first one, I didn't know anything about direct sales. The second one, my upline was really off of social media. And as a mom who was staying home with her kids, I wanted to be on social media. So I felt kind of alone. I didn't know the right avenues to get me started. So that kind of fizzled out really quickly. And then I found Steep Tea and I joined in July of 2018 after drinking Steep Tea for a year and seeing all these great benefits. I finally joined. And the past 9 months, I've been really working my business hard and I've been investing in coaches and really trying to just get this business up and running and working for me. So I don't have to go back to teaching. I don't want to leave my kids. I want to be home with them. So I really dove in. I learned a lot. And that's why I'm here tonight with you guys, because I want to share what I learned and what helped my business really take off. And for me, it was stories. So let's move in to stories. What exactly are they? Who should be using them? Why you want to use them, how to use them, things like that. So the first thing is who should be using stories, and that's everyone. Facebook is moving away from the newsfeed, and they're really pushing their stories and pushing groups. I think it was back in March or May, it was the spring, they had a Facebook conference, and they were talking about moving away from the timeline and the newsfeed because they're running out of storage. Just thinking about, I've been on Facebook for over 10 years now, and all of the content that I've made that they have to store for me, and now imagine billions of people. So they're moving more to stories so they don't have to store it all, And so I made a quick video for you to show you what stories are and to kind of give you a rough overview in case you have no idea what they are. Oops, that didn't work. There it goes. Sorry, guys. I swear, April and I practiced this morning. Okay, so this is your news feed. If you are mobile, your stories are going to be right at the top. And if you scroll across, you'll see all of your friends who have posted into stories already. You can see your stories. They're the first one right at the top. So here's mine. When you're in your stories, you see the reactions. People can send you hearts and laughs and things like that. You can see how many viewers you've had. You can see how long your story has been posted. You can add more to your story. As you go through your friends' stories, you're going to see right at the top, you'll see this bar, or all these bars. It tells you how many active stories they have. In order to skip over them, you just kind of tap on the side and it will jump to the next one. If you swipe, like I'm doing in this, you can see it's moving from one person's story to the next. And then when you're in somebody's story, you can actually react with it. So at the bottom, I just sent her some hearts. Her daughter is being so cute, so sweet. I sent her a message. It was so easy to connect with her. Stories are giving me a glimpse into people's like back lives, and it's helping me to get to know them and really build that relationship with them. So what are stories for? For a customer, for example, you might see a quick, frequent post. It's a fun way for them to share snapshots of their day. When I first saw stories, I was like, what is this? I'm just posting more pictures. This makes no sense. But you can see, people like that it was only there for 24 hours and then it disappears. They don't have to worry about it. So an example is one of my customers, she has twin girls. They picked her some flowers. She's a plant person. So this is relatable to her and it's relatable to me. But other than that, this is going to sit here for 15 seconds and people will get pretty bored of it. Now, if you are a business owner and you're using stories, you want to post things of behind the scenes, sneak peeks of what's to come, a day in the life. So like, I don't just run my business all day long. Most of the time I'm just chasing my kids and like sipping my tea. And that's a great way for me to show people what I'm actually doing behind the scenes. You want things that are relatable because people can interact with you. You want them to have those, oh my gosh, me too moments, so you can really build that relationship. And the other thing is you really want to post deals in there. If you have like a time sensitive, only available for 24 hours deal, your stories is a great place because it's going to disappear after 24 hours. So I'm going to move these faces over. You can see, excuse me, a business example. This is my friend Jackie. She is with Lime Life, which is a makeup company. And every day she posts her makeup face every single day. And she'll highlight either one or all of the items that she used. So this is her true 5-minute face. She had this arrow actually like blinks, and she talks about her favorite fall lippy, and it's called s'mores. I mean, I love s'mores. So obviously I chose this one because I was like, yeah, I can get down with s'mores. So where can you find stories? You saw that in the beginning on mobile. It's right at the top. Stories when they first came out were called like My Day or something. And they were these little tiny circles and people had no idea what they were. I didn't even know what they were until I did a stories training and they told me. I'm like, oh, I kind of remember that now. Yeah. So now you'll see stories are big. They're these big rectangles. They're in your face. Even before you start saying what's on your mind, they're right at the top. They want you to see stories. And if you've been scrolling your newsfeed for a while, you're going to notice they pop up in the middle again because Facebook is like, hey, do you see these? Come over here and play here. If you're on desktop, when I made this, it had just updated and moved to the top of my desktop right underneath the what's on your mind. But if it's not up to date, it might be on the side. It used to be on this right side column right above your pages. So just depending on what you're using, and it will also change, which bothers me. It will change depending if you have an Android or an iPhone. There are just some slight differences. So everything that I'm telling you tonight is just a generalization. There are some things I'll like point out to test out depending on your phone. But for the most part, everything is the same. I know that the Facebook app has more stories features than Instagram, and I'll get into that at the end. All right. So when should you be posting the stories? This is like the big question that I think everybody asks. I still ask it, when should I be posting? And really you should be aiming to post 3 to 7 active stories. So an active story is the 24-hour span. On Instagram, it's definitely more closer to the 7 range, 5 to 7. I don't post that many stories. On Facebook, have at least one active story so you are always being seen in the stories feed. But typically I try to aim for 2 to 3 active stories a day. They disappear in 24 hours, so you always want to have one at the top so people are always seeing you. You can see active stories in these bars at the top, and it'll like load as it goes. They're not all 15 seconds long, but they can be, so just keep that in mind when you're creating one. People don't want to just stare at you for 15 seconds. It's a little much, just saying. Okay, so why should you use stories? When you are making a post, even a post in stories, you're advertising. You're advertising yourself, especially if you're branding yourself. I'm really big on attraction marketing, so I brand myself and I try to get people to relate to me. So my posts are my advertisements, right? And then when I start to connect with people and build those relationships and get into messages, that's when you're making those sales. Stories puts you into Messenger. So here's a great example of it. Now, this is my upline. So like, I was like, I'm gonna, use your stuff. And she's like, of course. So she posted this today and she said, off to get a very minor medical procedure of a baby. So 15 cups of this, stay calm. It's one of our teas that, is proven to help with anxiety. And I'm a baby too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. If I were a customer, I would be like, yep, I need that. Just like that, I'm in her messages. And now I send it to her and she's like, oh, great. Let's chat more about it. Just like that, your customers are right into your stories or into your messages. And I want to show this really quickly. You can see, I miss it every time. You can see at the end, after you message someone, it's not gonna show it. At the end, it'll say like, see messages, and that just lets you know that you have an active message going from this story. So it keeps you kind of on task and on focus of what were we talking about? How can I keep up talking with them? Okay, so here's how you create a story. Personally, I have an Android phone, I have a Google phone, and so I make all of my stories in Instagram. For me, Instagram has way more features than Facebook does. So I make all of my stories in Instagram and then I save them and put them into Facebook. So remember that they last 15 seconds. You don't just want a plain picture. There's a lot of things to help like fancy it up so people aren't just staring at your face. And then use more of the features. They have a lot of interactive features. The more that you use on the platform, the more they're going to reward you, which means, hey, this person is using this feature. Let's see how great it is by pushing their story to more people and seeing how they interact with it. So here's a quick demo. So I go into Instagram and I clicked at the top left. This one is really quick. My kid was like screaming. I clicked at this camera in the top left corner. Oh, it's not playing. And then you have so many features, but I went right to the square at the bottom to pull up something that I had pre-recorded. I pre-record a lot of them. And so I pulled up this video that I was walking through the parking lot. I was like, oh my gosh, look at this storm coming. So I'm gonna add some text, and I always use the same text. You wanna stay on brand. You want people to really relate to you and know this is your story before they even see your face. So I use the same text, but as you can see, there are a lot of different options. And then on top of it, I also use the highlighter button right up at the top, and I make a highlighter with green and I make my little squiggles. Every story I do that. So when I've done that, I go up to the top and you see this, this square with the smile, that gives you all of your extra features. You can have polls, you can have people ask questions, you can use GIFs or GIFs, whatever you call them. You can add these stickers, but my favorite thing is I always search for something. So like for this, I saw the cloud and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm scared. I don't want that coming. So I type in scared and I scroll down, I look at the different options and I'm like, this guy, he just feels like me. Like I need this. And so I size him up, I put him where I want him. You'll see those blue lines, it's telling you that's like your border. Don't go outside of that or you might not see it all. And I put him in and now my story is ready. And I hit this arrow at the top and that's gonna download it and save it to my phone. And then I can just send it to Instagram, post it there, or I can exit out of Instagram. You can hear Quinn coming outside now. And I go into Facebook and then I go up and I hit the plus sign on my story and I go right there, I add it and I click share story. and it will share it right to Facebook as well. Now, if you are going to have a poll or questions or something interactive other than them just messaging you, I highly suggest that you use the Instagram one on Instagram, save it without that interaction, and then use the Facebook interactions. Use the Facebook interactions on Facebook, because again, even though Facebook owns both Facebook and Instagram, they're going to reward you for using the different platforms features. So it's really important that that's kind of how you're working it. And with that, my dog's going to cry because he's got to go out. That's it, you guys. I don't know how to unmute you all, but you can unmute yourselves. If you have questions, I don't know if anybody put questions in the comments or anything.
No, but I do have a question. So 3 to 7 in a 24-hour period?
Yeah, so that for me was really hard. I set myself a goal of 2 a day. If I could get 2 stories a day, 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, I felt like I was giving my customers a good enough glimpse into my life. And a lot of the times it's my kids. Hi, bud. It's usually my kids, like the fun things that we're doing that I know that my target audience is moms. I know they're going to relate to half the things that I post. And that's how I get good conversations started. And then tea might come up. If it does, awesome. If not, I have a good relationship started. They're going to start seeing my content more. And I mean, that's really, we all know that's what business is about, is building those relationships. So.
Okay. Yeah. I was just like, I can barely post like once a day.
Yeah. So my goal on my profile is I post 5 posts a week. So once a day, Monday through Friday. Sometimes I skip a weekday and post on the weekend. Sometimes I do more, but just 1 post a day on my timeline. And then I put anything else I want to say up in my stories. And you can do videos, you can do boomerangs. Once you really get in and play with it, it's a lot of fun. Like there are so many fun features in it that you're like, oh, okay. All of a sudden you're driving down Route 49 and you're like, wow, look at all those fall trees in that one spot. That's a great story. People would love to see how all these green trees turn to red, you know? So like you start to come up with things as you're going about your day that you're like, people could really like this and really relate to this, and you start to build it in. It gets easier as you do it.
I'm sure, but this is definitely eye-opening.
Yes, that was for me, because like I said, I saw stories and I'm like, I can't. I was posting 3 to 4 times on my timeline, in my VIP group, on my business page, on Instagram, and I'm like, I can't add stories. And when my coach was like, don't post that much and put it in your stories, I'm like, wait, I don't have to think as much? Really? Okay, this is a lot easier. And it is. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
How do you build up your viewers?
Interact in stories. So what I typically do, it's just the algorithm in a different place. So what I typically do is I'll make a story, I'll post my story, and then I sit and watch stories and I interact. And I don't send out random likes. I did. When I first got into stories, I was so excited. I'm like, this is so fun. Oh, I love that. Ha ha ha, you're so funny. Everybody got like 4 reactions, and Facebook literally was like, what are you doing? Are you a robot? Like, why are you doing this? So just go in and really be intentional. If there's something that you really relate to, give them a heart. If there's something that you're like, oh my gosh, me too, talk to them about it. But if you see somebody who's like, check out my product, and you're like, that's nice, you don't have to interact with it. They're not going to see whether you, like, they'll see if you interact, but other people aren't going to see who interacts with you. So, yeah.
How about the content, your wording and stuff? Is there anything in particular that you think grabs people?
I think that's kind of like, I feel like it's tough because when your story is up, you see that big square. It's more of like the visual. What is going to draw people in? So I remember there was this one story, and I'm not even really friends with the girl, but she posted this story, and it was a pair of ripped jeans, and the person's legs were bright red. Like bright red. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be the worst tan ever. And I clicked on the story because I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was saying like, what was I thinking? This is the worst thing. And then the next story was, good thing I have this product to save me. And I'm like, that was genius. That was great, because I saw this thing that I'm like, that's going to suck really bad. I got drawn in and I saw her product, and everybody could use something to help with a sunburn in the middle of summer, right? So it's really just about that visual. What can you show people that's going to draw them in?
Yeah. What about order? So if I post something first, like say I have the ripped jeans, I post that first, and when I post again after that, that's going to follow when people are viewing it.
Right. So when you're looking at stories,
it doesn't go newest to oldest. It goes oldest and cycles down.
Right. And so if you have 4 stories up and you just posted a new one, I've already seen your past 4 stories. It'll show me just your new one. It's not going to make me go through the other 4 that I saw, because I don't need to see that.
Yeah, I was just curious, because you never know. It might show the new one first, and then does it make sense? So do I need to go backwards, Nope,
yeah, it always starts with the oldest one first, and then it goes through.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I really like that you mentioned that this gets you into people's inboxes.
Yes.
I think that's like a huge deal, because that's something that a lot of us struggle with, is just like, okay, so we're commenting, maybe whatever, but you're actually like sending them a message. And I like how it pops up kind of, I don't know, I just like the way they package it together.
Yes. And I did a 30-day stories challenge. When I first learned it, they were like, all right, we're going to give you a prompt every day for 30 days. You have to do 2 stories, at least 1 photo and 1 video. And you have to do that for 30 days. And that 30 days blew up my business, because before I was commenting on things and my upline was like, okay, if you go back and forth a couple times, then get into their inbox. And I'm like, great, but that's really awkward. Like, I don't know how to just message somebody, If I'm having a conversation in comments, it kind of ends. I don't bring it over there. But when they're in your stories, it goes right into their messages. And it's like, wow.
Well, and it feels good.
Yes.
Well, it feels good. People are seeing it and, interacting. And then I also just want to take a second just to encourage our Jen Jones over here, because I think that you have such a great group of people that I think that, what Siobhan is saying about show the behind the scenes stuff. I think you have so many opportunities throughout your day to just show people glimpses of that behind the scenes. I think that once you get started, you're going to find that people, it's easy for you to find those things, and that people are going to eat it up.
Definitely. Yes. I second that for sure.
And there's so many people who have said, I'm so afraid that I'm just too boring to share stuff. And I'm like, everybody is boring. Every single person is boring. And the more boring you are, the more relatable you are, I swear. Like, you do one boring thing and somebody's like, hey, I'm doing that too. Like, I promise you're relatable no matter how boring you are. And if you're exciting, people are gonna be like, holy crap, tell me more. Like, no matter what you post, people are going to relate to you.
How do you get yourself to feel so comfortable? I mean, because you do a lot of lives and stuff, and I am a nervous Nelly. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I can never sit still. I'm like over here, like blinking 50 times. I'm wiggling.
Do you see my hands?
I'm like, And do you like tell yourself to relax before? Is there like a mantra? Like, what can I do to chill?
Literally, as soon as I decide, like, oh, I should go live, I go live. Because if I think about it, I'm going to convince myself out of it. If I'm like, I need to make this story of me talking to the camera about something, I need to do it when I think about it, no matter what I look like, or I'm not going to do it. So it's as soon as you think about it, don't convince yourself out of it. And I think this is the same, like, I mean, I'm not a coach, and I don't think, like, anyways, one of the coaches said, you don't want to be on a discovery call with somebody for more than 20 minutes, because at that point, they're now having the opportunity to go back and forth and ask you more questions if this is really for them. If you only have them for 20 minutes, you have the chance to just build them up, and they don't have a chance to fall off. So do the same for yourself. Don't give yourself too much time. Psych yourself up, give yourself that peak, and do it. Don't drop off.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, because I do talk myself out of it. I'm like, I have this great
do.
idea. I'm in the middle of this painting. I should go live and show people. And they're like, and I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to start sweating. I'm going to stutter.
That's what people want to see, though. That's what people want to see. They want to see the real you. They want to know you're a real person and not just like this perfect, almost unattainable image. You know what I mean? They want to know that they're working with a real person because that's who they are. They don't want to go to your class and be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to screw up and she's so perfect and oh my gosh, she's going to judge me. If they see, oh my gosh, she just messed up, I can totally do this. Oh good, I'm going. I'm down. You know what I mean? Don't stress it.
Great point. You know, I always think that I have to be perfect because why would they want me to be their instructor if I fail? Like, then who am I to be instructing? But it's one of those self-doubt things where we're talking to ourselves. And it's like,
we all want to be perfect. We all strive for perfection. I mean, that's why we're in business, right? We're moving ourselves forward. We're trying to be that perfect version that we think of ourselves as. That's exactly what we all do. I mean, it's normal. You are perfect, April.
Oh my God, no. I wish. I mean, but no, actually I don't, because the imperfections always lead to something beautiful in itself. I mean, as you guys know, we've all made mistakes, but in some way they've ended up kind of being better that way.
Yeah,
it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Definitely. Does anyone else have any questions? We got, I think, like 5 or so more minutes if anyone has anything to add.
All right, Kellen just wants to say hi. Like, say hi.
Hi, honey.
See?
Yeah, and then I am 4 years old. Big.
You're 4 years old.
Yeah.
I can go right now.
Okay. All right, good job.
You're a big boy.
Well, thank you for all that information because,
Yeah.
you know, I still, you know, I'm not on Instagram as much as I want to be. And then there's like the IGTV and I'm just oh boy. Like,
yeah.
I just did an Instagram boot camp, I think a couple months ago, because I was like, I don't know what to do with Instagram. Like I tried to be on there. I tried to just load myself and I was like, I'm lost. And so I did this boot camp. I invested in it and I'm like, I understand Instagram enough to build an audience. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm hoping I can just build it and then I'll learn as I go. But focus on one platform that you feel comfortable with. Keep building yourself there. And then when you're ready, find the right resources to help you move forward in the next thing.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same place. I had it and I don't really use it and I'm going to start. So I'm like, I really needed this. So thank you.
I needed this too at one point. I needed this too. I did. So yeah.
I appreciate you sharing it with us. Thank you so much. Sorry, did I cut you off, Laura?
No, I just had a quick question that I was thinking of earlier and then I forgot. And then so like when you were talking about how you should be doing 3 to 7 depending on where you are, I just like personally, one of the things that I do on Instagram as a strategy that I think is a pretty common strategy would be to go through and, you know, you're finding people to follow for follow. And I notice like, you know, the people that have like, you know, the ring around them, that means that they have like an active story. Like if I'm going through and I'm looking for, you know, people to kind of like, you know, get involved with on Instagram, I like will skip most of the time. I'll skip over like sending a follow to somebody who doesn't have an active story. And I was just curious, like, is that something that you do as well?
I don't do the follow thing. I'm like, I just go in and I interact. And if somebody follows me and I like their content, I'll follow back. And I don't go in stories on Instagram that often. I'm like, every once in a while, I just kind of like see who I'm following already and do them. But like that's it. But that's a really great strategy because I'm like, if you're not posting on Instagram stories, you're probably not on Instagram that often, or at least not once a day.
Yes.
So
that's why that is like one of my strategies that I've been using for a while. And so when I kind of just call it like surfing, like I'm like kind of follow surfing, and I know there's different camps of thought on whether or not you should be doing follow for follow or not, but whatever, right? But like if you're actively, there is that is a strategy, like that is definitely a business strategy. And so I mean, I will I use that, and that's just how I can tell like somebody is serious about using Instagram. And but I will say, just in general, like I feel so good about using Instagram because it is totally different from Facebook. And Facebook has just become something so different from what it originally was. And Instagram feels like a safer place where I can connect with people who do have similar interests, because we are hashtagging the same thing. And I have several people who, and I'm sure you do too, that you follow on Instagram, and you're like, oh, it's like I really like you. Like I feel like you're in my circle.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's some people that I like better on Instagram than in real life. You know?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
That's funny.
True.
I think that happens to us all.
Yep.
We're gonna run out of time, so I gotta wrap up. But I really appreciate you guys being here. And Siobhan, you did such a good job. Thank you so much for sharing your information. We love you.
Oh, I love you guys too. I'm glad to help any way I can. So
absolutely. And you guys have a great night.
Thanks,
I'll talk to
you
you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.